I could list some things, but it was just, I wasn't able to come up with an answer of how we're going to get this done without this budget. There are a lot of things about the budget that I think could be changed, the way we do the budget, in terms of the information council gets, when it gets it, and how it's voted on. I hope to have some impact on that in the future.
Thank you. Fair enough. All right, question here.
I can answer something about parking too, if you want to take the time. I don't want to revisit all of that. Since these guys don't have anything to do
Or
with
since
that.
you are on it, there's a question about the Elbow Road project is in the drawing board. When it will be started?
That's okay. Let's delegate.
It's my district and I've been really engaged in that process. So Elbow Road and Indian River Road for almost 30 years. They've been talking about extending and redoing, and it's right over, it will cut through, right through my neighborhood actually. And it will start at the end of this year, I believe, for the first phase. That will be the, where they're gonna start the Elbow Road. We're gonna realign Elbow Road through, and if you know that area where it's like a T, where Elbow and Indian River kind of come together and then they kind of separate again. That will be moved over to through another road that goes kind of through my neighborhood. It's like Savannah Trail. That will end up being Elbow. And then it goes through, and instead of having to go around Stumpy Lake the way you do, it goes straight through. And that starts at the end of this year, and it was in the CIPs. So that will start, and it will take, I think, 2023 before it's done, because it's phases. But that Elbow Road has become a huge problem. I mean, there's another accident there yesterday. I feel like we're always ending up stopping for somebody's.
Right. Thank you. We'll go to the Medicare, Medicaid question. Would you vote for Medicare for all if proposed in Virginia? And what happened to the Medicaid expansion? Oh, by the way, before you answer that, 75% of the job openings here in Hampton Roads, 75% of it is vocational. Vocational education or vocational training. That's a lot of work.
So Medicare for All is a federal scenario they're talking about. Everyone has a different definition of what the heck they're talking about. Half of them don't know what they're talking about up there. So I'll skip the Medicare for All until Washington can figure out what they're doing and what they're talking about. The Medicaid expansion piece, so I mean, it's pretty obvious. I dropped the bill in 2014 for Medicaid reform, which would have drawn down the money and we would have gotten more money from the federal government. We didn't do it in 2014. We did it 2 years ago with many of the same parts of the equation that I had in my 2014 bill with Tom Rust. And we have since been helping people get health insurance or get health coverage and health care that could not get it before. And one thing I will say over and over again until I'm blue in the face is that there was a significant cost of not having people under coverage before. 20% of all your insurance premium increases were because of care provided to people that did not have coverage. Medicaid used to be 5% of our budget, then it became 20% of our budget. It was going to bankrupt the Commonwealth of Virginia. It was unsustainable. We had to reform it, and we finally did. So I think, was it a perfect plan we did 2 years ago? No. Very few things that we do when you have to work across 140 people are perfect. What did it move Virginia in the right direction? Yes, it did. Is it helping the population it was supposed to help? Yes, it is. And is it helping save the taxpayers of Virginia money and making Medicaid, the program, sustainable for the future? Yes, it is. So I'm looking forward to seeing more numbers coming out, but it was the right step to take, and it's doing, I think, what we anticipated and expected it to do.
I know that Medicare for All is a federal issue, but I know my favorite constituent, my grandmother, tells me that we need to look into that and do that ASAP. So it's one of those things where I'm supportive of whatever helps, especially our community that is in need of that. So when that comes down the pipe, I'm excited to deal with it. Medicaid expansion, of course we're excited about passing that. Already 311,000 people have signed up. That was money we were just sending back. That's our tax money that we were just sending back to the federal government. They were just sending it to other states. So although it wasn't able to get passed in 2014, we were able to get it passed in 2017, and we are now, that's 1,400 people in my district. So, you know, that's a lot of people that are now getting health care, and we're going to see the effects of that on their lives and that preventative care that they're able to access now. But it's going to take a little bit of time to see it, but it's just great that so many people have taken advantage already. So.
I just want to say, as a lifelong conservative Republican, I have one thing to say about single-payer health care, and that no conservative Republican in their right mind would support single-payer health care. I know it's a federal issue, but it will increase our wait times, it will decrease our availability and accessibility to health care, it will worsen our physician shortage, and it will just stifle all of our innovation and technological advancements that may be coming through the medical pipeline right now. So just to put that out there, I am absolutely not and will never be in favor of single-payer health care. As far as the Medicaid expansion goes, I agree with Glenn, it needed to happen. I want available, accessible, and affordable health care for all of my patients. These people will get sick, they will get hurt, they will go to emergency rooms. You're gonna pay for it one way or another. You're gonna pay for it through emergency care, and that's about 10 times more expensive than primary care. We need to look at some more cost-efficient ways to provide primary care, nurse practitioners, physician's assistants. I will always be a strong advocate for non-physician providers, which we can do much, we do great at primary care, so let's use those things. This year in Virginia, we were given full practice authority as nurse practitioners, so let's utilize that a little bit more. But I think, like Glenn said, it needed to happen. I know it was a controversial subject between the Republicans and Democrats. I am glad it happened because I think it opens a lot of discussion. I'm not for further expanding it, I'll say that. I think there is a cost to that. I would support a work requirement. I think that's something we need to look at. But it has happened, it's here, so how are we gonna put it best in place? Thank you.
Thank you very much. We got one last question, a big one. Immigration or illegal immigration. We know the top 3 of our legislature here in the capital there in Richmond are all Democrats. Now the question is, do we have a designated sanctuary city in Virginia, or is Hampton Roads, one of the city, Hampton Roads is one of the sanctuary cities where illegals can be dropped off? Not you folks even are knowing this.
No, we're not, we don't have sanctuary cities. So we do not. So that's clear. We don't have that. Now, my husband works in intake in the jail, so that is one of the jobs he has, is to check people coming in and check where they're from and report if necessary. So there was a couple bills that popped up about this year, and so I got into the weeds with him about what that means and what that looks like. And they basically will ask where people are from and run the check and do what they're required to do by law, which is report if there is something out on somebody, and if there is something out that they need to report. So they're pretty clear. There was a couple bills this year about that. I was against anything that takes away the locality's kind of authority on these topics, not the sanctuary city part. They're very complicated. Some of them are contradictory. So there's like a yes vote, a no vote. It's really a complex topic, but we are not a sanctuary city, so that, if that helps.
Yeah. We're not a sanctuary city. There was some debate about that before. I came to Virginia Beach, and that got really cleared up quick when I was in city council. We're not a sanctuary city here. When it comes to immigration, we have a couple of issues. First is security. You cannot be secure in a nation when you don't know who is in your country. It is that simple. If you come here legally, and we know who's here. No one in this country should ever have a problem with that. Secondly, we need to make sure that we have a good, solid visa, immigration, and citizenship process that people can come here to help grow this nation and grow this economy. My great-great-grandfather came here from Italy. He came here because he wanted a better life for his family and his future grandkids and everything. And he came here illegally, and that's what we put together. It's unfortunate now in our nation, and I've talked to some large companies, we have people that come here from other countries to get educated. Some of the best and brightest, they get their PhD in engineering and different things. They want to stay in this country. They want to work for a large U.S. company or start a U.S. company. They cannot get a visa to do so. They go back to their country and start companies to compete against U.S. companies. So we need to break down immigration to a couple of different levels, and we don't do that very well in this country. One is, if you come here, we need to know who you are. You don't get to come here legally. The second thing is, we have a process that people that want to become citizens can do that, and it's sufficient. And the third piece is, how do we have people that come here to get educated here, that want to grow our economy here, have a process to stay here as opposed to going back home and competing against U.S. businesses and the U.S. economy.
Can I follow up question? If we will, if they will set about 300 illegal alien coming from the border, what is your feeling about it? What is your opinion about it?
So
like we became a sanctuary for about 300, I think 300 people.
well, a
Okay,
sanctuary.
are you afraid of that?
A sanctuary city and giving someone sanctuary are two different things. So the sanctuary cities are the cities that basically say, if someone's here and ICE wants them, we're not going to give them the ICE.
Oh, yeah, well, what
So-
I'm saying, let's, for example,
No,
because of overpopulate, crowding over there, they're gonna designate Virginia about 500 people.
Right, well, we actually had the situation occur a
Yeah,
couple
what
years
is
ago.
your feeling about those people? Are you gonna support them, or you already in question mark with them? You gonna give an FBI agent for every 100 of them just to follow up on them? You are treating them like a what you call a murderer or something. You know, how you gonna look about these people who are trying at their best to change their life?
Oh, no, they're coming here illegally.
I know that.
Yeah.
But what are you feeling? They're coming in illegally to find something good for them.
No,
But the
they're-
thing
they're
is, if you're gonna beat them, you're gonna charge them like they are murderers or something. You're not giving them a chance. Why don't you just put them in the jail so that they will be secluded and monitored 24 hours?
No, here's the thing, if you come here illegally, we don't know who you are. And I will stand steadfast that there are people always want to come to this country. My grandfather always wanted to come here because of the hope and dreams that this country provides. But we have to know who's in this country. If someone comes here illegally and we don't know who you are, you can't have security if you don't know who's here. But if you come here legally, if you're a refugee, and you come here legally, and you are given the ability to stay in this country, I welcome you to the Commonwealth of Virginia. God bless you. But you've got to come here through the right process, be identified as a valid refugee. We know you're here, and at that point, you should have the opportunity to go into any of the 50 states.
To me, these are refugees because they're trying to leave their homeland for something that is wrong with their homeland and looking to seek for a new life. And you guys trying to tell, oh, they're already murderers. We cannot trust them. Before you know it, those guys, there's a lot of doctors, there's a lot of educated people, but they cannot do anything because how you look at them because of their refugee and you're not giving them a chance.
I'm not sure how many, I don't know what the standard is for how many people we are giving sanctuary to, how many people that come and they say, you know, that they need, they're looking for refuge, they're looking to be here because of some issue, you know, within their home country. But I think we do need to allow more people, if they are looking and they're true to their purpose and trying to get here for that reason. I mean, my grandmother grew up in Southern California. My grandfather came from, you know, her father came from Mexico. My grandfather came from the Philippines. I know what that's like for our family to look for a better life. And I think that we're all kind of on the same page. It's just, I think that the issue would be I think they're two separate issues, right? They're the issues of someone coming illegally, which there's two ways of that too. You come and you overstay your visa, that's the civil way, and then there's also a different way, which would be the criminal. That's that issue, and then there's also the issue of giving the sanctuary. We need to give people sanctuary if they need sanctuary. We need to give them the opportunity that if they need it.
Thank you very much. That concludes our question and answer portion. But before we end, we have a couple of announcements. Again, we thank you for all the panelists. Thank you so very much for. So the first announcement is end of slavery of minor girls. It was mentioned earlier. Join the walk, June 9, 2019, 2 to 5 p.m. Chesapeake City Park. Registration is $12. All right, the other one is coming from my church. Annually, we have Filipino American Bible Baptist Church Memorial Day Picnic in Bayville Park tomorrow at 9:30. And if you're free, come. There's food.
Food is free. It's free.
Uncle.
Free.
Uncle.
All right.
Asian Fest is going on at Waterside till 5:30. I know there's a lot of voters out there.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Asian Fest at Waterside.
Asian Fest. By the way, the
Philippines is the host country.
And the Memorial Day, it's not tomorrow, it's Sunday, it's Monday. Because tomorrow, as Christian, we are going to church, right? Sunday's church is Lord's Day. All right. June, you get the last word.
Hello, I better close before there's no one around.
Come on forward before June closes.
What, no, you wanna talk before I do? Because I'm gonna take 30 seconds. Don't take too long, I fall asleep. Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. To all our special panelists, thank you very much for being here. sharing your thoughts about all the laws that you have passed at the General Assembly, at the same time at the local level, and what your plans are. And being the founder of the organization, we are very proud of you, and we are so thankful for your presence with us, raising your presence to the community. And we learned so much for what you have shared with us, and at the same time what you are planning to do next year and in the future. But let me just make a couple of announcements. I just make notes, and these are all good news. First of all, I received an email from Bobby Milati that one of the high schools here in the area, they had prepared some essays about the Bataan Death March. And what this is, they are displaying their essays at the ocean front during this Memorial Day. And would like to invite everyone to go and read those essays by our high school students, not only Filipino American students, but throughout that high school who had participated in writing the essay. So we can be able to learn something from there, and the place where you can be able to go, starting today and the whole weekend, will be at the 22nd and the 23rd Street Oceanfront. So that's where the displays are on the Bataan Death March. So very important, very historical for us between the Philippines and the US. Because I can tell you this honestly, when I was a member of the Alpha Association, I have a true and original picture of the Bataan Death March, taken by Japanese videographer. And it is very gross, and you can be able to see the video itself. And when I saw it twice, I said, this is too much. But that was the real McCoy of how the Bataan Death March came into the picture, and they had seen so much atrocities during that time. Second one is, you've been talking about the education a while ago, and I know that our chairman had stated to us all that we are beating that horse to make it alive. Now, in reverse, critical thinking is very important, but you have to couple it with common sense. That comes along with it. You can use all the critical thinking you might have, but if you are not coupling it with common sense, then still short. You are not getting further into pursuing what we would like to pursue. Common sense is the very essence of getting where we would like to reach. The third one is, I submitted my question a while ago, and I keep on asking to all of you who are at the City Council, Mr. General Assembly, the English language as official language of the state. Most of the countries have their own national languages, and they are very proud of it. I don't know if the US, we are not proud of our own language. That's why we don't have any official language. We have national word, we have national tree, we have national everything. But our true identity, because throughout the world, lots of people use English language to communicate in business, professional, and everything else. Think about it. I would like to ask any one of you to sponsor at the General Assembly to make English as the national language of Virginia. Thank you very much. Okay, on behalf of the FilCAG, I would like to thank all the participants, our favorite son and daughter here, Glenn Davis and Kelly Fowler, Miss Jenny Keegan, thank you. Guy Tower, thank you.
Shower.
And for those who did participated and left, thank you. All the politicians, candidates, Allison White, Mr. Venter here, I don't know, and for all those members, let me
bring out my